Hello, welcome to Barbecue Elevated. Today I'm going to do this rump roast over here on the PitBoss. I haven't done a whole lot of meats like this on the PitBoss, but I wanted to just experiment, see what kind of product to put out before I threw a brisket on there. Just wanted to test it with a roast. It's a little bit less money. Also, sometimes again it feels a little bit dirty and wrong to use the PitBoss for a brisket when you've got a Franklin that is meant for a brisket. But anyways, all I'm going to do with this is just season this real quick. You know what I'll do is I'll cook it. I'm going to cook this like with any other roast or a piece of beef that's this size, where you got to get it tender, you got to get it to a high enough temperature to really melt all the collagens down and break all the collagens down and the fats inside the meat. So what I'll do is I'll start out, I'm just cooking it in the PitBoss at 230, about 230 degrees. Get some nice good smoke flavor on it. And cook it until it hits the stall, which is going to be around like 155 to 165. Then I'll probably pull it out and wrap it in butcher paper so I can preserve as much moisture and juice inside of it I can. But with the butcher paper, it's going to make it so I can still preserve that crust that you get from smoking meats. Go with foil. I found that you kind of get like a pot roast type of a texture as opposed to having a bark, trying to create a bark on this. So what I'll do is take that butcher paper, wrap it up, keep the moisture inside of it, and then finish cooking it until it hits somewhere around like 195 to 203, 204-ish. With my elevation, 204 degrees is when water starts to boil. So I definitely don't want to go past that because I'll start to evaporate the water, the moisture inside the meat. So my plan is going to be to take it to about there. I'm going to go off the feel just like I do with a brisket. Pick it up, see if it feels like it's soft and tender, and if it does, I'll pull it out and let it rest. You know, what I did is I seasoned this with just some kosher salt and some coarse ground black pepper, 16 mesh black pepper, just half and half, just half of each. And then I used a yellow mustard like I always do for my binder. I had to keep it on there, so I'm going to go ahead and just get this over there on the PitBoss, get it cooking, and we'll update you to kind of show you how it's progressing. Out here checking on the roast real quick, so it's starting to get some coloring. You know, it's not getting the black coloring that my Franklin would start to produce, but it's been about 3 hours now, so it's turning kind of a reddish color instead of turning more of like a blackish brown color. But I'm going to let it keep going. Got plenty of seasoning on here to hopefully help with the bark on this one. I just wanted to check in to kind of give you guys an update. All right, time for my last little check-in before I wrap this thing. So there's the coloring on it. It's not looking too bad. It's still not quite as black as what I'd like it to be, you know, as far as bark goes compared to my offset, but still coming along, still looking okay. We'll see how it tastes, but the look of it isn't quite the same. I've been spritzing it with some cider vinegar here and there, keeping it from drying out. Do that here. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out and get it wrapped. So here's the roast. Got it all ready to wrap. So I got some butcher paper out. I spritzed the butcher paper with some cider vinegar. It's just something that I like to do to keep it from getting too dried out. Just keep it nice and moist. Cider vinegar does a great job of that, breaking the proteins down without ruining the bark, ruining the seasoning. And you can see, if you get closer here, we can show that you can still see that the salt and pepper is still on here on the actual meat itself. So nothing's actually coming off. Everything sticks on. You can also see, you can't even see that there was mustard on here either. So we don't even know that. So just going to go ahead and wrap this up with some butcher paper. Not really much of a rocket science to it. Just a matter of wrapping it up nice and tight. And we'll put it back in the smoker. Right now it's at about 156 degrees. It really stalled out. It's just kind of been sitting at that temp for quite a while now. So we're going to wrap it up, which I've just done. Throw it back in the PitBoss. I'm going to bump the temperature up a little bit from, it was at 230, going to bump it up to 250, and then just keep it in there and finish it out until it feels nice and soft. We got the roast. It's all ready to go. The rump roast is ready to go. Not sure what I said it was before, but it's a rump roast that we're cooking now. It took a lot longer to smoke in the PitBoss than I expected to. I noticed that the Franklin cooks things a lot faster than the PitBoss does, so this thing probably took like 10 hours to get done, but it's done. You can see it got a little bit darker in the color. It isn't quite as dark as like what the Franklin would put out or an offset would put out as far as like the color goes. So it definitely isn't going to have the same kind of bark. You know, it has more of like a reddish color to it. I think it's still going to be pretty good though. But yeah, this thing took like 10, 12 hours just to cook this thing. It was only like 5 pounds. Ended up having to bump the temp up to about 300 degrees at the end just to get it to finish off because I had to go to bed. Gonna go ahead and just start slicing this thing. Hopefully it's gonna be good. So you can see right there, looking pretty good just right off the start. So got a pretty nice little smoke ring to it on the edges there. Definitely tender, pulls right apart, no problem there. Really awesome, really happy with that part of it. Go ahead and just give it a taste test. It tastes pretty good. It's got some pretty good flavor to it. It definitely smells a lot more like smoke than what it tastes. Like this, it does not have the smell of the smoke does not match the smoky taste that's inside the actual meat, but it still has a hint of some smoke in it. You know, I use hickory pellets, so I was hoping that would make it a little bit more, help with a little bit more of a smoke flavor because it is going to be, because hickory does produce a stronger smoke flavor than what, you know, a fruit would do, or even oak for that matter. But it does taste good. It is definitely nice and tender, nice and soft. It is not at all dried out. So I'm super happy with that part of it. I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this thing. By the time it was done at about 201 degrees. That's when I pulled it out. And I literally just went off of the field, just put my barbecue gloves on, picked it up, just kind of squoze it a little bit, kept doing that until it just felt like it was getting soft and felt like a sponge. And once it did, just pulled it out and let it rest. And now here we are trying it out, and it turned out really well. Let me know in your comments what you guys think. If you have any suggestions on how to kind of speed up a cook inside of a pellet grill, let me know. I noticed just with those things, with them being more like a static air type of a situation as opposed to an offset, which is just constant airflow, that the pellet grills just kind of take longer for some reason. But if you have any tricks on things you do to speed up the cook process so it doesn't take 12 hours to cook a 5-pound roast, let me know. Until next time, we'll catch you later.